soon here. Thank you very much, each and everyone. Well, today's session, the concept of today's session is time management. How many of you ever thought that हम time को manage ही नहीं कर पा रहे हैं? Time is slipping out of our hand. We uh, heard so many times that time is money, but no, time is not money. Money can be controlled. Money can be stored. Money can be, we can collect and we can actually reuse our money. But time is nothing like that. So, when I take this as a concept, our whole team decided that we are going to take this as a concept. Then after reading about this, then I realized that time management is nothing. It is just a myth, and we are going to break this myth with a lovely master on the show today. So with that, I really wanted to start a small poll here and requesting everyone to please answer that. By the time you're answering this poll, I just briefly tell you the motive and why we have started this show. This show is basically, we really wanted to self-development. We really want that our nurses should understand what is the importance of self-development. And we keep asking for the system to be changed. But if we want a sustainable system, then it is very important that this change should come from inside to the outside, because when the change comes from the inside to the outside is always a sustainable and a beneficial change. Another reason to start this, it is a small initiative to tribute to our Indian nightingales. Actually, we are blessed to have so many Indian nightingales. But we don't have a platform where we can celebrate them, where we can actually learn from their life story. So this is just a platform where we are learning from their story, and we really want to be like them, actually. Yes. So with that, I'm going to end this poll. Yes. So as I told you that time management is a myth. You cannot manage time. Then what is to be done? Why we are always in a fail? Why we cannot be successful with our life in our daily routine. Sometimes we are finding that, especially in a student life, and when we enter into the family life, we are finding very difficult to pacing our personal life as well as professional life. So it is my prime duty to make you confused as always. So, but we are having a lovely master who is here to actually to break these all myths and tell us, how she managed her time. She is one of the finest person I met in my life, and you can read about her. She is a nursing director with Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, Kochi. The one of the finest thing about her is, she is having an aura which actually you can feel when you are standing just next to her, and that is how I really admire her a lot. And I couldn't find a better person than her to talk on this topic. So over to you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am, for accepting this invitation despite all the odds and difficulty I know that you have been facing. And please, over to you, ma'am. We are looking forward to learn from you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rupa. This has been a wonderful platform. I am really excited to have somebody started to think about sharing ideas in an Indian platform with Indian leaders, and that's something that's very unique that you have done. And I'm really, really excited to be a part of this show. And I hope I have. This is 5:40 now. I'll finish by 5:50 with my initial session. Okay. Thank you. So basically, like what she said, time management is not about managing time. Actually, if you look at it, you don't have any control over time. Time is something that's beyond us. But then what can we control, or what can we manage? Actually, we can manage our lives. How do we manage our life? Do we manage it the way we want, or do we manage it depending on what others think about us or what others want from us? So basically, it's all about managing time effectively the way you feel is good for you. But there are so many glitches in this one sentence, but it has many, many, many small elements to it. What does it mean? What does it mean to me when I say being successful? What does it mean to me being happy? What does it mean to be effective? Each one has a separate definition for itself. And whatever I think, maybe I'm thinking when I'm handling a lot of family issues or family pressures or family matters, I might think that I'm an effective person in managing time because I'm able to juggle my family and home. But a person who gives more priority to their profession may think that you're not really successful. It's the other way around too. So it's basically successful life, successful time management cannot be defined in a generic term. It's always relative. Success is relative. My time, for if it is effective for me, it depends on what I think is right for me at this point of time. But the biggest confusion that happens in our life is that we don't really know what is best for us at that point of time. I think most of the time we are seeking this answer rather than trying to manage our time. We try to find the answers, what is best for us at this point of time for me. So time management, I think from my perspective, is actually a balance between, name it anything in life, profession and your personal life, professional life, your whatever you're thinking in your mind versus how you execute them. What is your priority at that point of time, whether it's a task or a relationship? What is like, how do we make decisions? Do I do something myself or do I do something with others? Everything has to be in a balance, and if they have to be it's a delicate, very delicate balance, and this balance is based by oneself than any other person. So it's very, very unique for everybody, but there are certain general principles that we have to follow when you think of and talk about time management. The basic thing is you have to know what you want and what is your need, and you need a lot of insight into yourself. No one can manage our time better than us. So it has to start, like Rupa said, it's a myth. Time management is a misconcept, basically. It's like treating a symptom. You have fever, you can take paracetamol, but that doesn't cure your disease, right? You can have fever because of so many things. So you might be feeling, not happy about how you deal with your life or what happens in your life, and you think by managing your time, it will be better. But it's not. It's like taking paracetamol for fever. The reason for not being happy may not be the reason why you're not. It may not be the real cause. It may not be the time management. The real cause is something else. So you think by managing time, you can it's like a symptomatic management. It's just like at that point of time, you feel a bit more happy or satisfied. But the same thing might not work, might be better for you at any other point of time. So basically, it's all about managing oneself and living life to the fullest at every moment of your life. If you have to say best time management is equal to living life to its fullest, your best satisfaction. This is like a big puzzle. Living life to the fullest, what does it mean?
Yeah, ma'am, I'm so sorry I'm interrupting you in between. We really wanted to know, when you are you always a very disciplined person, a self-management managed person, or when you turned because definitely in your young age you must be just like any other youngster. So we really wanted to know, when you started thinking about time management, when you started thinking about self management, and when you started thinking about that, you have to think differently.
I don't think I did think any of those in my life.
Oh, really?
I don't think I'm not a very self-disciplined person per se, but I learned something that I can't manage myself all the time. Sometimes I can, but a lot of times I cannot. So today, just example, when we started trying to get in, I thought I would arrive here at 5 and set up things and look at connections, and 5:30 sharp I will log in, or at least 10 minutes before. But it so happened that it had an urgent meeting, and it was at 2. So I still thought, yeah, we have time. And then it so happened that the meeting ended at 4:15. And when I came here, it was a little difficult because something which was working till morning was not working now. So it's not about planning or alone. It's all about adapting also. So that's what I said. It's like a balance. I think what I learned from life is about this balancing to plan my activities. Like I need to have at least a basic plan. I'd say like you have a plan today, 5:30 you're going to have a talk show. This is a plan. Without this plan you can't execute it. But at the same time you have to have a flexibility. 5:30, if things don't work, or if my video is not on, what do I do? If you are not able to connect at 5:30, it becomes at 6. So if I'm asked to talk for 20 minutes, then suddenly I have to switch to for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I have to, whatever I prepared for the 20 minutes lecture will come down to 3 minutes. You have to be really smart enough to switch. So you have to be flexible, but you have to be you have to have some firmness, because you need to know exactly, you have to deliver this three key messages. Okay, so the key messages have to be in your plan, but how you execute it, you will have to have some flexibility. So what I do have a lot of disciplines which I learned with my life. A few things which my work taught me, my seniors whom I saw taught me. Like as a director of nursing, I make sure that I don't work on Sundays. Okay, whatever comes. And it's like between three of us, we are three leaders, two of them are working under me. So between three of us, we take calls in the evening. So everyone is not taxed, so they don't really call me unless it is necessary. And evening, so you have to empower your juniors. That I learned, because if you empower them enough so that they can take decisions, at the same time you are there to support them. So it's like, again, a kind of balance between delegating and doing it yourself. Okay. And then it's also, I don't sign any papers just before I leave the office, because that's the time you can make maximum mistakes. That I learned from my teacher. She wouldn't listen to any problems just before she has to go for any meeting or anything, because that's when you're in a rush, you can't really think properly. So you plan in such a way that you say, this is a general rule. Okay, a general rule is that you don't do something which needs your attention and time in a time when you are really hurrying up for something. So there are so many small things, practical tips that I learned from my life. And also I did do a lot of overdoing in my life, like, because I don't have a family and I don't have to worry about my kids or, marriage or whatever. So I had enough time in my hands. So I worked like 20 hours a day and slept little, ate whatever I had, like whenever time came. And then I had to pay for it in a different way in my life. And I learned that it's okay to use your body, but when you overuse it, then the body stays, okay, I have already been used, your quota for this life is over, now stop. If you don't, I'm going to shut down. So then you go back and you start revisiting, oh my God, I'm 30, I'm 40, I have to learn now to look after myself. So I did really have a lot of disciplining through my profession, from my life, from my friends, and so many things. But these are like, I could speak about it almost 2 days if you give me time. But
Ma'am,
these are some
we
things.
really want to know some of your story, your life story, when you actually faced a great trouble because of this time. And you committed, have you ever committed mistake? I mean, everybody does that.
Oh yeah,
But
I
yeah,
did.
we really wanted to listen that.
So basically, I'll tell you something. I was a very open person. I always felt other people's needs were more important than mine, because of the virtue of the life I chose. And I used to stay till 6, 7, 8 in the night in the office, and anybody needs a paper, I used to get it signed off. My office staff would go, I will stay back and make sure they got it But then what happened after some time was, people expected me to deliver everything on their time. So whether I was sick, whether I was having something else to do in my life, I was supposed to deliver it. Then I realized that I was actually overdoing. It was not necessary for me to give them this hope that anytime you walk in. So basically, you're teaching them wrong exam, giving them a wrong, message that it's okay to wait till the last moment to get anything ready. That's not good for a leader. Maybe as a person, it's good to consider about other people's feelings, but as a leader, it's not always good to entertain everybody at any point of time. Because people don't understand the value of anybody else's time, I think it's important for us as leaders to show them it's important to keep and respect everybody else's time. So I started to shut my office at 5, and I said, after 5 o'clock, if you have to get something, you have to come next day. And I started keeping my papers. I said, I keep a time, like, between 4 to 5 is the time for my signing of all the papers. So all papers get signed off only between that time. It doesn't get to do. But if there is always a flexibility, if you have something important to do, which has to be done that same day, my office staff, they can talk to them and they'll come and walk in anytime. And I'm not in a meeting. Even in a meeting, if it's important, it gets signed off. But provided it's not an emergency, it doesn't come. And then I started putting timelines. I said, if you have to have a reference, you need minimum 7 days. You apply and then you wait for 7 days, then you call. Before that, even if you call, nothing gets moved because it's the time. So if it's early enough, if you're actually doing it a bit early than 7 days, we would call them at home and then deliver it, or tell them to come and collect your papers already. So that's something I learned, with experience. Also, it's also about making it's about planning and then not planning, mixing up, balancing these two. It's like many times we thought we will do this in this year. Look at what COVID has done to us. 2020, we all thought this is year of nursing, we are going to celebrate, but we are celebrating in a different way altogether now. Actually, nursing is being celebrated, but if you're able to see that in that sense, then you feel it's okay. But if you're not, then you actually get so disappointed, because this was supposed to be one time when we thought we are going to really share a lot of things about nursing, ask or maybe say that these are the things nurses can be done, nurses can do, or these are things nurses should be that should be done for nurses by other people. But then everything is changed. Just 1 second, one small virus, life is all in a different platform. Now earlier we were talking about containing, now we are talking about herd immunity, now we are talking about what psychological impact this is doing. And we never thought of Zoom webinars. Now everybody is in a webinar every day. Now this webinar is going to cause us a lot of tension, because you have to have your technology, you have to be on there, and then after some time your eyes, ears, and the way you sit, the way you talk, everything just changes. Right?
Ma'am, I'm so sorry I'm interrupting you, but we really wanted to know a little more. Have you ever worked as a bedside nurse? Because I know you are a keen clinical nurse. A very few person on administrative position loves to be in clinical, but I know your passion towards the clinical, and I really wanted to know some error. It could be related to time, it could not be, but we really want to hear that. But please,
Luckily,
that will give
I
actually.
think, Rupa, I think actually God has actually helped me. I didn't do any major errors in my clinical side.
But ma'am, do you have any problem with your seniors? Because this is a common problem with the nurses. The moment it comes to going, just saying bye to the duty, like it's a closing time and giving the over, and suddenly senior comes and said, "You haven't done this. You have to do it."
I think you've chosen a wrong person to ask this question, because I didn't work. I lived nursing, because that was my hospital, and this is like something that I was living. It was not a job for me. So there was no handing over, because I worked in the clinical side. I worked as a GI nurse, endoscopy nurse. I hated GI, but I landed up being a GI nurse because someone from US thought that I would be the best person to be trained, because there was no endoscopy centers at that moment. And so I was doing pH and manometry first time in Kerala state, and I was the one who was taught. And I landed up being a GI nurse, and my boss was my medical director. So he used to have continuous meetings, and I used to be the one waiting for him, and the patients used to wait because he gets held up in emergency. So the initial days I used to go and I literally call him up and say, okay, patient is waiting for 2 hours. You have to come and do the procedure. Your meetings can wait. I had to do that. But then what I learned was, he had the personality was so such that he would walk in and then talk to the patient, and patient who was actually frustrated, fuming, would become immediately the most friendly person in the world. That was what his personality was like, and I learned from him. We actually kind of helped each other. I should say, sometimes I would walk into his office and say, okay, now meetings are over. I would tell the other person, I think patient is waiting. This is a priority. Please get up and come. I was given that freedom, so I could do that. About seniors in nursing, I really did not have much people to control me, because I think I was in a managerial position at the same time when I was a clinical nurse. And I really didn't give anybody a chance to say something of that sort, because I worked more than anybody else. Right from being a care assistant to a manager, I did everything because it was my home. So basically, whatever you're asking, I may not be the right person, but I know what my nurses face.
Yeah.
Like when they have to get out of a job. We always have a principle in our hospital. I always tell everybody, nobody should work after mostly not more than 1 hour post their duty. Whatever happens, you have to relieve them of. Nobody works more than 12 hours. Nobody works more than four nights. These are basic principles. This can never be violated unless they have an approval from me, and I don't approve this. Black and white rule. So whenever that means, initially what happened was people used to feel this cannot happen. Every time you can't predict what kind of patients are coming. You cannot predict the unit. Somebody becomes sick. But we said, no, you focus on these principles. Make sure all your night shifts are already decided. Make sure these many people are there. Once you start respecting people's time, definitely everything else gets respected. And from the time when I started doing that, I never ever had to call anybody for more than 12 hours.
Yeah.
And even if you ask somebody to do an extra shift, they don't hesitate. And I tell my in charges, it was very particularly that you should not insist somebody who is ready to do duty to continuously take it. So I check randomly. Everyone, we have a more decentralized system. It's a huge hospital, so you cannot really keep up looking everybody's duty schedule. So I tell my supervisor, at least once in a month, you go back and see who is doing double shifts, how many double shifts are happening. Also, in a global perspective, we look at which units are doing maximum double shifts. Can we actually supplement somebody else? And in case, because sometimes the doctors feel, no, this is not an NICU nurse, I want somebody from NICU. I tell them, no, you have every nurse is qualified nurse. You might be needing a special set of skills, but you have a lot of seniors, they can support them. Doesn't mean that only few people can work. So you kind of keep a pool. Any ICU nurse with a pediatric background, they are okay to be an ICU nurse. In an emergency, it's not like a routine. It's an emergency. It's a crisis. You cannot, if you start addressing life like a crisis is not going to end anytime. You have to have some basic rules in life. Yeah. So this is what I think every senior nurse have to do. And for a person who's like a bedside nurse, the biggest problem that I see in today's generation is that a lot of their work is in their head.
Yeah.
You get a patient, then you do everything in your head. And then by the end of the shift, there is nothing. No paperwork, no job done. Because you feel you are doing it, but actually you are planning. You're planning and planning and planning, but you're not executing them. Or somebody who's really on the job, they do random things. It's not organized. And then at the end of the day, even if you have only one patient, you have 12 hours duty, you have not finished anything. The biggest problem being documentation. Everyone sees documentation as not a part of nursing. Documentation is being added on as a separate service. So why should a nurse document? not only nurses, every other professional talks about, even patients say, the nurses are always looking at the charts. They're not looking at us. So it's not the patients, but the patients have a feeling that nurses should not be writing anything. But unless I document what I do, how do I know what I'm doing? How do other people know? That's something which is important for us. So nowadays, what these kids do is either they work and they, at the end of the shift, it's like a university exam. All the checklists become choose the correct answer and we tick, 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 and finish off. And you don't even know what you're ticking off. Okay. And then you have to spend a lot of time being called for explanation. All that time could have been saved if you really did what you're supposed to do at that point of time. At the point of time, documentation is important. As leaders, it's important for us to understand that on the other side, there are people who are working. They have so many other things other than documentation. So we have to make sure that we talk for them and we bring documentation to a limit where they can do what they're supposed to do. So like if you insist more on documentation, they write, but they don't do. When they insist on doing something, they do, but they don't write. So this is a never ending process. It has to be continuous.
So, ma'am, yeah, basically this is a common problem with the nursing and nursing students, that they said they are having a very diverse type of work. Patient is expecting something from them. Seniors are expecting something other thing out of them, and moreover, they are having their own responsibility of writing documentation, giving medication, and their all job responsibility. So, how they can manage, these diverse work, according to you?
So basically, every nurse have to have a plan. So like if you say, there has to be a basic plan. Okay. So what I have supervisors. I give you a small example from them, because in among the supervisors, each one of them are supposed to do at least 6 or 7 floors. So they used to go random, do rounds, take some over and come back. So we kind of sat together and discussed. And what do you think? We have to make sure that the nurses are listened to. We have to make sure that the patient's voice is listened to. We have to make sure everything that we wanted to know is there. So we made a pattern. We just, okay, now when you go, what is the time required for you this is like 6 units, right? So you have an 8-hour schedule. So let us break it 1 hour for lunch or any other business. Another 1 hour is excluded for any emergency that comes. 6 hours. So in the 6 hours, if you take 1 hour for each unit, 1 hour per unit, how are you going to divide this 1 hour for? So you take one patient, you visit one patient, you talk to one nurse, you look at one chart, and then you take 15-20 minutes to take over from the in-charge. So in that whole process, in a week, you will touch at least 6 people. You have visited at least 6 patients, and you looked at 6 charts. So if you want to take a nurse who is looking after a patient, you talk to the nurse, you talk to the patient, you get the same chart. You basically are doing everything in one go. Okay, so that's how you manage to, so you still have 2 hours. Okay, so when you have to, but if you plan and do the same way, you try to do it majority of the times. Sometimes you will miss it, sometimes an emergency, you can't do anything. But at least you try to fit yourself into this. What happens is at least somebody is heard every day. Okay, so this balance of looking at documentation, looking at people's feelings, whether it's patient or a nurse, it becomes a part of your routines. And then you really don't need that much time to communicate. You learn to kind of connect with people. So it's like over experience, you will learn how to do something in 30 minutes, it will become 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But with the experience only. So you cannot expect somebody to manage their time effectively from the day one. Yes. For the person who's a new nurse, the time effectiveness will be very different from a senior nurse. So you can't meet everybody's expectations.
Right.
That's what I said. You have to have realistic expectations about yourself. Yeah. And your expectations will keep on changing as you grow. You take inputs and you change them, but you don't try to fit into everybody else's expectations. If that happens, your life becomes a mess. Yes. You'll never ever manage your time well.
Yeah. Ma'am, there is a question. As you said that you said that the fever, you have to take paracetamol. Like time management, just like a symptomatic treatment. So somebody asked, when you equate with that time management, how would you find this cause? Like, you are finding that you are not able to manage your time. So how to find the root cause of that problem? Somebody is finding that they are not able to do that. Then how they can, find the major cause?
Two questions are important. One, you have to look at the time. Not able to manage time is actually a generic phrase. Okay,
Yeah,
you need
yeah,
to look
yeah.
at for what are you not finding the time. Are you not finding the time to finish your work? Are you not finding the time to spend with your family? You're not finding the time to do the most loud thing that you want to do. What is it that you're not finding time? And then you also have to answer why is it that I'm not able to find the time. So if you go and check in Google, you'll find out a whole lot of articles, a whole lot of books, everything is written on time management. Okay, so I'm not going to give you those answers. You have to go back and do some homework yourself. I'm only going to share with you what you cannot find about my life in Google.
That's good, ma'am.
So what I'm trying to say is the answer is inside us only. You might, in the sense that you might need help. Okay? You might have to take help from your seniors, even your parents, your in-laws, maybe your spouse, your children, whoever. But you need to take that help. You need to know what are you not finding your time for. If it's a general statement that I'm not having time for anything, I think you really seriously have to look at your life, because that means you love to do something, you're not doing that, and you feel all the time that you're spending on every other thing is futile. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am, there's another question that nowadays that we know most of the hospital, not exactly in terms of pandemic, but we do know that, hospital doesn't have a good human resource, and especially the nurses. Then how to manage, then it become a very difficult in terms of time management to managing a patient. And sometimes, especially in the emergency units, patient maybe get sicker. So it is just a question from a participant that, in how would you think that how a nurse should manage a patient with the less manpower?
No, that I think it is not a simple question. It cannot be
Yeah.
answered in one sentence. It's very, very, it is
Complex.
it depends on the settings. It depends on situations. So the basic principle for any institution should be there has to be generic rules. There has to be a system or a process to run. If it is dependent on people, the chances of overlooking many things are more. But if it's a system based or process based work environment, and if you have a system of looking back at your results, okay, your processes or your outcomes, when you have that system, the thing is that you'll have data. I need data. If I have to go back to the management and say, sorry, I don't have this much manpower, I cannot handle this, I need some numbers and I need information. So this flow of information from bottom to top and top to bottom is important. And if I don't have enough data, I will never be able to convince anybody what I need to do my work. Emergency is different. Okay, emergencies, you just have to be flexible. You cannot say that I will only work like this in an emergency. It's not possible for us, especially with nursing. But life is not an emergency. Every day, every moment is not an emergency. So when the pandemic first came out, that time it was an emergency. We did not know what you're doing, but actually now it's 6 months. By now we should know what we're supposed to do. Not every single thing, but at least the general rules of the game. So when you know the general rules of the game, it's interesting to play it. But if you're in a room with a new type of game and you don't know what you're doing, you'll always juggle. Either you learn to play the game or you quit.
And there's another very beautiful question, I must say, and it's not very. Sometimes it is directly and indirectly related with the time management as well as art of assertiveness. Many a times, nurses are called by the HOD for some reason, and they always make them to wait. All others are given priority except the nursing. What should we do at that point of time?
It also is relative. I wouldn't say that you should not accept it. I would not say also you should accept it all the time. What I say to my people is that when you call for a meeting, there has to be an agenda which is circulated if you're expected to give an answer. you're not expected to give an answer, go sit and listen and say, okay, sorry, we don't have enough information, we'll come back to you. Okay. And if you stand for waiting for somebody, okay, I don't send my nurses to any HOD's office.
But ma'am, we are having so many nurses participant from the government sector actually. So, you know,
No,
they are, yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that how did I do that? You know, it is not easy. Okay. It was not easy to do that. But if anybody has any problem, they can pick up a phone and call a particular person. If the answer is not given or the problem is not sorted, then you can call them to your office.
Yeah.
Everybody cannot walk in. So sometimes we'll have to point blank tell them, sorry, sir, I am in a meeting, very politely. But sometimes when you're going there, you know, he's probably looking at a patient in emergency, and you have to respect their time too. So you respect that, but at the same time, when somebody is making you wait unnecessarily for a long time, I think you should just say sorry. And I say, I think I have another meeting. I have to go now. I'm extremely sorry, sir, but I think I should be leaving now. This is polite way of response, but I think we should respond. Yes. Nobody's stopping us. If you do it twice, maybe they'll shout. Thrice, 5 times, maybe sometimes you'll get thrown out. But I think we should just accept it, and one day they'll stop.
Yeah. So now it's a time for another poll. We really want all the participants, and especially the guest nurses. I don't like to call our nurses the participant because they are the guests for us. So I'm just launching another poll, and I would request everyone to please answer. Yeah. I hope it's visible. By the time I'm just reading aloud another question, ma'am, it's on the chat box, and then we will be discussing our questions. Most of the question I can see that you have already covered in your talk. Scheduling daily activity will help in time management. We'll start with the 30 seconds later, actually. I'm just expecting everyone to answer.
So basically, scheduling life, yes, it helps a lot in time management because you will know exactly what you're supposed to do. Today, like I put my meetings. If I don't put my meetings on time, and I don't communicate to people, so as a head of the department, or you know, even in personal life, I have a meeting with you at 5:30. Okay, so I cannot commit the same time to somebody. If I don't put in a piece of paper or somewhere where I can remember, how can I make sure that I'm remembering everything that I hear? Especially in when you are actually you know, doing a lot of things together at the same time. So it's important that we schedule. Like, you know, what I do is if I go to office at between 8 to 9, there's a morning meeting. So that's when everybody talks about what happened. And after 9 to 11 o'clock, any industry, somebody has to meet me, they have to come between 9 and 11 o'clock. Nothing after that. Unless it is an emergency or somebody walks in, they come from a long distance. If I have to respect their time for a particular reason, I do entertain, but I try to ask them to make an appointment and come between 9 and 11. And when we started working, so there's so many things that you have to do. So I kind of keep at least a day just to do only when I have to meet so many people. So I just keep a day off only to talk to nurses. So then I can really, I know that this is what I'm going to do today. So I'll prepare myself. I make sure I'm calm enough so that I can hear them well. And when I'm not really feeling good, like, you know, physically feeling not fit or whatever, I don't entertain these kind of conversations, because I know that when I go and sit there, I'm not able to listen to them with a peaceful mind. So what happens is I end up wasting a lot of their time and my time, and without any results. So these are small things that we can always do in our life. But I think the basic principle is I respect my time, and I think I will learn to respect everybody else's time. And that makes our life much more easier.
I'm thinking that I have to start a rapid fire with you because we are having so many pending questions. Yeah. So, ma'am, how to utilize my time effectively at workplace? Well, you have covered most of the thing, but would you like to give a pinpoint type of any suggestion, practical tips? How to utilize my time effectively at workplace?
So there is 2-3 glitches there. My time and effectively. Effectively will depend on what do you define effectiveness as and what others define your effectiveness to be. So if you think that if you want to be effective in front of everybody else's eyes, impossible. Because a lot of time you will never, if your nurses are happy with you, everybody else won't be. If everyone's happy with you, nurses won't be, because their priorities, their expectations from somebody like you is going to be very different. So the thing is, I should know what is effectiveness. What does effectiveness mean for me? Okay. Does it mean that everybody else in my team feels that I'm effective, or does it mean that I'm able to balance my work and my family, or does it mean that I'm able to deliver my goals? You set up a goal for the day or a long term, short term, whether I'm able to meet the goals. So this all varies. It's not it's something like that. But the thing is, you should know what you feel is effective in your work.
Right. So
Without that answer, everything else is incomplete.
Yeah. So it is very important that we should be very clear what is effective means, and especially at the workplace, because we are dealing with the patient. So in that case, we have to think about the prioritization also.
Yes.
So another question is, how good is to do multitasking?
Good, yes, and good, no. Because being a bedside nurse, there has to be some amount of multitasking. You can't afford to say that I will only give medications. No, I will not listen to anybody. You would have to give medication. You will have to talk to the patient at the same time, listen to them. So there are like 5 or 6 skills at the same time that's required. But clubbing the same kind of activities, yes. But when you want to write a paper, you can't listen to your patient, you can't listen to your family member, you can listen to everything else and write a paper. Okay, you need that personal silent time. So you have to define the activity, and you have to decide whether you can do all those activities at one time. So I can actually, when I'm doing bed making or I'm giving a medication, I can talk to the patient, I can talk to the relative. At the same time, I can give the medication also, provided I have done all the checks and just before doing it. But at the same time, when I'm mixing a drug, I wouldn't want anybody to interfere, because I want to concentrate and make sure that the processes that are involved in medication safety is followed. So it's multitasking the entire life, multitasking the entire day, multitasking the entire shift is not it's a generic question. But the thing is, you need to know when to multitask and when not. At times you really have to. You cannot say that I will only do this. It's not possible, because nursing involves human interaction. Human interaction is not limited to doing something for people. It's also understanding, at the same time feeling, at the same time delivering. So your head, heart, and hands have to be working together. Sometimes we'll have to have 3 different things going on.
Another question is very interesting, and everybody's waiting and looking forward for that question. What are the ways to avoid procrastination?
Google it out. You'll find out textbooks on how.
No, but we really want that. You never did that.
Oh, I did. I always do.
Then how you manage? We want the practical tips, ma'am. There is everything on Google, but we really wanted to how you combat and manage.
I'll try to tell you something. Procrastination happens when you are not interested to do what you're doing a lot of times, or you find the work is too big for you to handle at that point, so you want to push it off. So it again depends on, you have to go back and you have to take a little bit of time. You cannot procrastinate about revisiting yourself. That one thing you have to put off, and then take some time off and sit and say, okay, this is the most important thing I'm supposed to do. Why am I not doing it? So there are plenty of answers that I will have. Is it because it's too big a task and I don't think I have time? So should I make it into smaller things, have smaller objectives, smaller timelines? Or I'm like, I'm okay. Nobody's really pushing me for deadlines. Okay, then I'm fine. I'll go about it. But then at that time, you have to get somebody to push you with the deadline. That's what I do. Sometimes I cannot really deliver on time. So I tell them, if you give me enough time, what I'll do is for years together, it will sit on my tables. You tell me what time would you need it. And then you previous day, 2 days before, you just remind me you're supposed to deliver it. I am sure I'll do it. Because sometimes, you don't seem to prioritize. You can't really prioritize everything.
Yeah.
So sometimes when somebody else's priority need to be respected, you give them
Yeah.
that chance to remind you, so that
Somebody's priority is not urgent for you, because you are having your
yeah,
own priorities.
that's
Well,
true.
pertaining to procrastination, I really wanted to give up. There's a very beautiful book on 5 second rule. So there is it's all about the automation of your mind. So when you start 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and when you start doing that for the everything, wherever you wanted to be lazy, like आज नहीं करती, थोड़ी देर बाद करूंगी. So start saying 5, 4, 3, 2, because our mind is actually wired in that way. When they started listening the backwards to counting, we actually connected with the bachpan. जब हमें when we have to rush and we have to run and we have to be the first one in this race. So this is something happens, and try to do it. And this is a lovely book. I request everyone, please go through that book and just read it. Even the audiobook is more than enough for that 5 second rule. So another question is for the nursing student. What message would you like to give to manage their classes? Because as we were discussing in the morning, that nursing student always find it very difficult to, balancing their clinical life as well as student life, because nursing is the only profession where we have to do dual responsibility at a time. Most of the profession doesn't do that.
Rupa, I think that question itself is a little wrong. You know why?
Okay.
Because nursing is one profession where you're given a golden chance to live your profession when you are studying. Okay, and your studies doesn't come from your books. Your studies come from your patients. Your books are only references. Your text is actually your patient. And if you start looking at your patient as your learning, this is a platform where you are actually seeing something and learning from experience, and that is the best learning you can ever have. And I think it's just that when things become too mechanical and too technical, what happens is I am writing a case study for the sake of completing an assignment. I'm not writing a case study to understand the process of how to look at a patient. I'm writing a care plan just because I have to finish 5 care plans. I'm not looking at how to plan care for a patient. But if you really have done that in your exam, you can just do it. You don't have to have anything else because you've learned. Now, I remember when I studied in Trivandrum Medical College, and I have a very bad habit of not reading books. Okay, I like to listen from people. So what I did was I used to always sit by and listen to my friends reading the textbooks. I wouldn't want to. It used to be so boring to read the textbook, and I used to be. It used to be like it used to be fun to understand what's happening from other person. So you always ask questions to my patients, to my doctors. So what happened is now, even after so many years of my administrative experience, uh, I have not forgotten the basics. It's basically because I didn't read from the textbook. I learned from my patients. So I treat all my students, I used to tell them, when you read, don't study pharmacology, anatomy, physiology for the sake of understanding human body, but study it so that you can understand a human being. So when you understand a human being, it's only time you can help yourself, you can help others. If you're intending to help others, you should know what they're supposed, what we have to know about ourselves, our body, our physiology. So it's basically it's like we have lost why we are studying and how we have to study. So it's like I have these many sessions to attend. I have to write an exam. I have to finish these assignments. It's all about task. There's no connectivity. All are separate dots, islands, and that's the reason we find there's no time. Second, whatever time you don't have in 24 hours, you will still watch a movie of your favorite film star, and you'll still remember every single dialogue of it. You might watch it 100 times, you still won't get bored. But you get bored when writing 2 care plans. You get bored when you have to when you have to read a nursing textbook. You rather sleep on it rather than reading it. Why? Because there's no interest. And why interest? No interest because you don't understand why I have to do this. The why of everything is missing. Why should I do bed making? Somebody else can do it. Yeah, it's not important for you to spread the sheet, but when you're spreading the sheet, you have to understand that when you're making somebody comfortable, the kind of feeling that they have. This is a time where you can inspect their skin. This is a time when you can have an introductory conversation. It's a time when you're assessing whether this person is able to get up, sit. He was same as before, same today. This is like a simple exercise. But if you're understanding this and doing bed making, I don't think any student will say I will not do it, because that's the best time. You still have, you've made a contact time and reason to meet somebody. Okay. So
Amazing.
reasons.
Yeah. So how would a person know that he or she is managing her time efficiently?
Exactly. I think I did say this multiple times. It's the like 3 words. How would a person know whether they are managing their time effectively? Effectively in terms of others, effectively in terms of myself. So that's first answer. If you have to think about effectively in terms of others, you need to understand who are the others that matter to you and what is their expectation or explanation of effectiveness. Or if it's my effectiveness, what does it mean to me that I am effective? And based on that, you have to choose, you have to prioritize, you have to balance between what you do and what you give, pass it on to the rest of the group in your place. So I cannot deliver everything everybody else expects me, and I cannot even deliver everything I expect. Sometimes my expectations are beyond reality or realistic, so sometimes I have to go back and revisit and check my expectations, and okay, no, I cannot be a bedside nurse, an administrator, a leader, everything. No, I can only maybe do clinical work at this point of time. I can do administrative work. Maybe I can do both a bit at this point of time. So you have to really refine your roles, and you have to understand your limitations in that particular time, and then fit in, because everything is not fixed. It's very fluid and it's very unique for each person. But the general rules are like, the basic rule is everything starts with you, and time is given equally to everybody. There's no time given extra for me or you. Everybody has 24 hours, and 24 hours of this number of seconds, this number of minutes. And how do I use it depends on what I want to do at that particular day. And if I become too fixed with my schedules, life becomes mechanical. If I become too flexible, I am doing random acts, which doesn't mean anything. So you have to this is like it's like a big puzzle, it's a lifetime learning.
Well, यहाँ पे I really wanted to see one thing. When I was reading these question and I was listening you as well, so I was thinking that there is a dissection, dissection me and dissection what is expecting. So it is very clear, as a human being, first of all, we should understand ourselves, and that is the motive of this show. This is the motive, that when we are asking question, are we asking this question for myself, or I'm asking these questions from the other's perspective? Because what I'm doing, I want a result which will satisfy somebody else. So there is a huge dissection, so we have to fill this gap, and this show is just to fill that gap. And we really wanted to show a aina to everyone, that please meet yourself. If you keep yourself happy, you will see everything surrounding you will be happy, and people will understand it is ultimately your goal, and the outside goal should be the same. Only then we can feel more satisfied, contented, and efficient, which we keep on saying. There's another question which I really wanted to ask to you, ma'am. Yeah, I schedule my work before I reach work, but when I reach, there are other demands, something from which something from me, they want done. This becomes a problem, and my work stays pending. Actually, I hope you get this question. Like, I am planning my own planner, but suddenly I reach to the office and somebody else is expecting, and probably he is my boss. So now, how to manage this situation? It is actually very difficult and tricky.
Yeah, I think if it's your boss, you need to learn to manage your boss first. Because boss is a little tougher to handle, in the sense you cannot say no to them most of the time.
And boss is always right.
May not be, but the thing is, I think it's also about your personal relationships. So it's sometimes that a nurse who is in trouble, he needs a hearing from you. boss is requiring a report from you. So what is your priority? So sometimes you will have to tell your nurse, just wait dear, I'll have to come back, I have an important thing to do. Sometimes you have to tell them, go back and come tomorrow morning, I'll definitely listen to you, and you respect that. You tell them and then you make sure that you do it next day morning. Sometimes you have to tell your boss, sorry, I have somebody who is in more trouble than you, I just give me 5 minutes, I'll come back. So, you could keep your work pending. Your inbox is never going to be empty. You are head of nursing. That means you will always have your boxes full of tasks unfinished. And that doesn't mean that if you have a box full of unfinished tasks, that means you are busy. That you have enough. You're doing enough. That's the reason why your box is full. If you have a very empty box, it sometimes means that you're not actually doing much, so people don't think that you're good enough for it. So it's not important that you finish everything that you promised. The thing is, like, I plan my schedule, okay, and I come to work and I see that it's my work not completed. Are we affected by it so much that every other work suffers? That's one thing which is very important. So when I feel that something I'm doing out of my schedule, I should be comfortable with it. So sometimes maybe 2 minutes you have to sit back and say, okay, now this is what I'm supposed to do. I think I should be okay with it. I should justify myself to me, like, okay, now this is what I'm supposed to do. It's because of this. Right now, let me take this task at hand and finish off. That is more important, because what makes you more comfortable is not you did something else. What makes you more comfortable is that you have a plan and your expectation about yourself is not met.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to strive to meet your expectations. Sometimes you have to rewrite your expectations.
Yeah. Ma'am, as we are talking on time management, and I'm sorry, I'm a poor moderator that I couldn't manage my time. But yes, I would love to take a take-home message from you, so that our all guest nurses can imbibe that. It could be your funda, your principle of life.
I would say that live life to its fullest. Live every moment of your life. If you start working for somebody, you're not enjoying your life. But if you're living, nursing, I think every single moment of your life will become in such a way that you will never have to worry about how best you are managing your time.
Yeah. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being there. And I must say thanks once again, because you accepted at the last moment. And ma'am is at a place where it's not easy to be online, but she managed to do that. We are really grateful for that. And this is my idea about the time management, because I've been reading from last 1 week, and I realized that time is something like water. Time is something like an ocean. And what is actually time is just like a water in a river, flow its own pace, flow on its own speed. And management is all about the self management, like swimming. If you know swimming, you know how to reach at your destination. And if you don't know swimming means self management, then you will be driven by the flow of water. So this is all about the idea of time management. And one important thing which I really want everybody should know and learn, this this I request, you should please practice this, because this is something which is very important. You have to have a 4 quadrant pertaining to time: urgent, non-urgent, and then important. You can read about it, because we are actually short of time, so we cannot explain. And with that note, I just wanted to end up with this. I really wanted to launch this poll and want to see that how much we actually understand about the time management. What do you think? Self management is the key for time management? Yes, no, can't say. Thank you very much for giving us right results. We are so happy that we understand and break this myth that there is nothing like time management. With that note, I once again want to thank to each and everyone. Special thanks to Saimbala ma'am who managed to be here on the show, and to each and every participant. And I'm sincerely sorry if I couldn't take few questions because of technical glitch and all this. We are trying to manage our time, but sometimes we are exceeding. We are learning. We are learning on everyday basis. And sincere apology for my kharab English. Well, I'm a person who believes that idea and the content of talk is more important than the medium, and Hindi and English is just a medium of a language. So I once again want to thank, and yeah, now session is open for our, as usual, chit chat. Thank you very much.